Test is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, everyone. We're so glad you could join us, and we're happy to start our presentation for you today. We hope you're in a comfortable spot and that you have some warm beverages and maybe some colleagues with you to share this presentation with. But either way, we hope you will enjoy it. We have some logistics to share with you before we get started. We have muted everyone listening in, but that doesn't mean that we don't want to hear from you. We very much would like to hear your questions, and you may enter those into the question box in the control panel at the side of your screen at any time. We will have a dedicated time for Q&A at the end of the presentation, but if you think of a question, please feel free to put it in there, and we'll make sure it doesn't get lost. We also have a couple of handouts for you from each of our presenters, and these are in the handout section of the control panel. You can download these at any time and review them whenever you like. We will also be including these in the package that we share with everyone registered. We'll share the slides, a link to the recording of this presentation, as well as the handouts. And for this time, this presentation for the first time, we have continuing education code available. If you are listening in as an accredited financial counselor of Canada, an AFCC designation, we have a continuing education code for you. Please use Boosting FE 2019 to log your participation in this hour. If you are someone from another accredited body in Canada relating to financial matters and you would like to use these webinars towards your continuing education time, please get in touch with us and we will see what we can do. We would like to begin this webinar by acknowledging that we are joining you from Toronto, which is situated upon traditional territories. The territories include the Wendat, Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nations, and the Métis Nation. Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and the Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. Today, the meeting place of Toronto is still the home to many Indigenous people across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work in this community on this territory. We would like to acknowledge and thank everyone who is on the line with us today, joining us from across traditional territories. We are honored to be having this discussion with you, and we thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. My name is Glenna Harris, and I am the Manager of Learning and Training here at Prosper Canada. We work with partners in all sectors to ensure that all Canadians, regardless of their income, have access to financial programs, products and services, and advice that they need to build their financial well-being. The work of the Prosper Canada Center for Financial Literacy is co-founded and supported generously by TD Bank Group. So we have a jam-packed hour for you today. After a brief introduction about financial empowerment, we would like to share two speakers with you today. Anna Jordan joins us from Momentum in Calgary, where she will speak about their well-established and successful Savings Circles program. And then Monica DaPonte will speak about her independently operated program called Strive, which has been delivered in 2 sites in Toronto. And then we'll make time for Q&A at the end. So first, some brief introductions. Anna Jordan, as we just introduced, she is a financial empowerment facilitator at Momentum, which is a change-making organization based in Calgary, Alberta, and combines social and economic strategies to reduce poverty. Anna is a dedicated facilitator with a strong focus on partnering with low-income individuals and community agencies to reach sustainable goals. With a background in immigrant and literacy support work, for the past 2.5 years, she has been involved at Momentum with financial empowerment and match savings programs, frontline delivery, participant support, RESP education, RDSP education, and many more. She is currently the facilitator of the Savings Circles and Family Saves match savings programs. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you.
And second, Monica DaPonte is the principal at the boutique consultancy Shift and Build. She helps organizations develop and implement strategies that deliver social, environmental, and economic value. She is also the founder of Strive, a goal-oriented financial resiliency program. Monica has 20 years progressive experience in business and not-for-profit management. Her previous roles include Executive Director of Education at Public Services Health and Safety Association and leading WWF Canada's strategic partnerships. Monica holds a BBA with a major in marketing and an MBA with a specialization in sustainability, both from the Schulich School of Business. Welcome, Monica. Thank you for joining us. So now that we know a little bit about our presenters, we'd love to know more about you who are listening in. So we have a few poll questions for you if you're able to answer a few of these. First, we'd love to know a little bit more about the type of programs you deliver. Since we're going to be hearing about different types of programs today, we'd love to know more about your experiences and knowledge as well. So in your organization, do you offer financial literacy workshops? Do you offer one-on-one financial support of some kind? Tax filing of various kinds, perhaps a tax clinic or one-on-one tax filing support? Do you offer a match savings program of any kind? Or maybe some other type of program that we haven't listed here? Please let us know in the comment box if you'd like to share more detail about that. You can check any that apply. And we'll leave this poll open for another 15 seconds. All right, we'll close in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, great response from everyone on the line. So we've got about 80 of you listening in, and 3/4 of you are offering financial literacy workshops. And coming in second, one-on-one financial support, about half of you. And then about 1/4 of you are offering tax filing and then other types of programs. We can see that about 16% of you, I guess that's about a sixth or so of you are offering match savings programs, so that's great to know. And it sounds like a few of you offer other programs like ESL and some other types that we are still seeing some answers coming from. So thank you very much for those answers. We have another one that we'd like to ask you. We're going to be talking about blended programs today. In other words, do you have any programs operating at your site that combine any of the above in one program delivery? Often we can deliver different types of financial empowerment interventions on their own, but as we're going to be hearing about today, there are ways to do it where we combine different interventions into one program flow. So we'd love to know if any of you are already doing this. So I'll leave this up for another 15 seconds. All right, I'll close it in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so actually about 40% of you are already offering blended programs. So Monica and Anna, you're talking to familiar folks in the field who may understand the types of successes and challenges you'll be talking about today. But then another third of you are not offering them yet, but you would like to. And for the other third on the line who aren't offering this type of program, we hope that this will be an interesting hour for you to learn more about what other folks are doing. And finally, one more question that our presenters are very curious to know about to help them have some context to know about who they'll be speaking with today. We'd love to know more about the types of populations that your organization serves through your programs. So for example, newcomers, Indigenous people living in Canada, students, seniors, and people who are precariously employed. Truthfully, we'd love to know even more than the 5 that are on this list, but as GoToWebinar limits us to 5 options, we wanted to prioritize these 5. and you can check any that are relevant to your work. All right, I'll close this in 15 seconds. And in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So this is fascinating because almost like all of these categories are people who are represented in the population served by your organizations, and that's really wonderful to hear. We're so glad to know that these populations are getting support from all of your wonderful work. So Anna and Monica, that gives you some great information about the people who are listening in. So before we carry on today, I just wanted to say a couple words for anyone who might be new to this type of discussion about financial empowerment and what we mean by different types of programs. Within financial empowerment, there are many different types of interventions that can be offered by any agency, and financial empowerment really is an open opportunity for any organization or agency or government who would like to start helping people become financially empowered. There are many different ways to deliver these opportunities, and that can take the form of financial education or counseling. It can take the form of helping people access government benefits or tax filing, help to access financial products and services safely, access to savings and asset building opportunities, or consumer protection and education. There's a lot of different needs out there and a lot of different ways to meet them. Ultimately, with financial empowerment, we are trying to help lift people to become more financially resilient, to lift them out of poverty, and find opportunities to do that. And in many cases, this can happen by delivering one intervention at a time. So, for example, financial literacy education is a quite popular one. We at Prosper Canada have a lot of work in this as well. And financial literacy can be delivered in group workshops. It can be delivered one-on-one. Also, another example would be access to tax filing. You could help people access this opportunity through operating a tax clinic on site, or perhaps by recruiting volunteers or staff to do so one-on-one throughout the year. And there's a lot of advantages to operating financial empowerment programming in this way. It can allow organizations to specialize in one part of the field. It can allow a lot of really great depth of expertise and training to build up around one intervention. And it may also be easier to deliver, especially if you're an organization that delivers many different types of services already outside of financial empowerment. What we're going to be talking about today, and this is going to be a very simplistic example in that little visual there, is the fact that many organizations, such as the ones we'll be hearing from today, do offer these in a blended style, where it's not just one standalone program, but there's many different types of interventions present within the same program. So perhaps someone attends a series of financial literacy workshops, but as part of those workshops, they get to benefit from some one-on-one time. Perhaps, as Anna will be speaking about, they'll be helped into a match savings program. Perhaps there might be some access to financial services through these workshops as well, if there's accompaniment to a bank. So one program could essentially accomplish many different types of financial empowerment goals and result in some very positive outcomes for participants as well. So without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to our first presenter, Anna, who's going to be telling us all the great work that they do within their Saving Circles program. So I'm very pleased to introduce Anna, and please take it away.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Anna Jordan. I'm the Financial Empowerment Facilitator for the Saving Circles program at Momentum. So Momentum is a nonprofit organization. We're a change-making organization, and we actually began in 1991. As of right now, we have approximately 70 staff who work here, and we do a whole lot of work in our community. So our mission at Momentum is that we work with people living on low incomes and partners in our community to create a thriving local economy for all. So we help people in our community in a variety of ways to achieve this, including how to manage and save their money. We help people start and develop small businesses. We also help get people into skilled trades training. We're involved in community initiatives, and we also have a really amazing public policy team here at Momentum. So today I'm going to be talking about the Saving Circles program, which is one of our match savings programs here at Momentum. So just to give you a little bit of background, a match savings program is really important and critical component to Calgary's overall financial empowerment strategy. Match savings programs are also referred to as IDAs, or individual development accounts. And so match savings programs, the way they work is that they match the savings deposits of participants during the program. So for every dollar a participant saves, they receive a corresponding dollar amount, which serves as both a reward and incentive for further the savings habit. So savers complete financial education classes and then use their savings for an asset building purpose. Momentum has actually been offering match savings programs in Calgary since 1999, and we provide capacity building to training and support to participant organizations in order for them to implement and deliver match savings programs as well. So we've really expanded that umbrella of service and support that we offer out. So this quote, without an income, people can't get by, but without assets, they can't get ahead, is by a gentleman named Ray Bashara. Ray is the Senior Advisor and Director of the Center for Household Financial Stability at the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. And he really examines poverty and inequality in the U.S. with a focus on wealth inequality, and has been doing this for the last 30 years. This quote in particular really gets to the heart of what match savings programs are about and why we do this work here at Momentum. So as you can see from this asset building stepladder here, for most households, savings and assets are the critical first line of defense against emergencies, unforeseen expenses, and income interruptions. Families that have adequate savings and assets can often successfully weather setbacks and build stability. It actually doesn't even take a large amount of money either for that to happen. For most unforeseen expenses and emergencies, even $500 can usually answer the need without requiring a person to dig into their monthly cash flow or turn to credit if it's even available. So really, as you can see from this slide, the first step is really savings for stability, and that's what we build our match savings program on, is really getting people into that habit of saving and fine-tuning that money management skills. Once they have that, they can really build on that. They can build their family security. They can take those savings that they have and put it toward really improving their future opportunities. They can put it toward education, tools for work, starting a business. This increases earning potential, and it increases their ability to really save for large future items that really help toward that sustainable livelihood that people are really working toward. So at Momentum, we actually have 5 different match savings programs, and they all are for Calgary area people living on low incomes for an extended period of time. And the way they work is that participants attend our programs. During our programs, they save, and then after the program, they spend. All throughout this program, there are many different ways that we work in touch points and information so that they're working on their goals throughout the program and eventually find success through achieving those goals with their asset purchase. So you'll see on the screen here, this is a photo of my most recent Saving Circles graduating class. This was a really awesome group of people. We actually had 17 participants who graduated with this cohort last August. And I'm really lucky. I work with some amazing participants. And so our participants really come from a diverse background, especially in Saving Circles. They come to the program with varying skill sets and ability levels. And also the sources of income are also varied. We do have participants that have employment income, some have government benefit income, some have a combination of those. For our participants, we do have the household income at or below the low income cutoff, or LICO. for our participants. And so we do work with a wide variety of backgrounds and, as I said, income levels with our participants. So once a participant is accepted into Saving Circles, they attend. Our program is 6 months long, 9 workshops, and then we have one-to-one session and other touch points that happen during the course of the program. So they learn money management skills, and they really put that into action through saving. So it's really a 2-part system with support in there for that program. And it's really awesome to watch participants walk through that. When it comes to the learning, Momentum really focuses on using adult learning approaches across all of our programs. So for example, things like plain language, we use visuals, we use interactive peer-to-peer learning styles, including story sharing and things of that nature. And so this really helps to boost the financial information and education that our participants have access to. As I mentioned, during the program, participants attend workshops. So this is a slide that really shows our 5 core workshops: budgeting, assets, credit, banking, and consumerism. We're actually just finalizing our new curriculum, which encompasses these plus a few others. And it's pretty exciting because we've updated all of these core topics. We have facilitator guides, and we have PowerPoints for all of them, which is amazing. We also developed 11 elective workshops, which are really great because it offers a wider variety of learning opportunities to our participants. So during the Saving Circles program, in addition to covering these 5 core workshops, participants also have 2 workshops where we review two of the 11 elective topics. And the way I work it is I put a list on the board during the first class of all the 11 topics, and the 2 with the most votes are the ones that we do. I think that's really important because that really allows my participants to have a say in what they're learning, and it directs where the learning goes. So some of those elective topics are things like debt management, RDSP, things like that. Participants always have access to those workshops if they need them, if they're not voted for. So if there's any topic in there that the class doesn't cover that they feel is really relevant to them personally, they do have access to that, and I will support them in learning about it. So in addition to all of the classes and being part of a group and moving through that process with the program, I also offer one-on-one support to my participants throughout the program. So before the classes even start, I meet with them, I get to know them, I talk to them about their situation, and I really review how things are going for them, what their hopes are for the program. I share any resources that I feel may be relevant to them that I discovered during our initial conversation, and I give them any needed support before the program starts so that as they progress through the program, they can work on that and come out more successful at the end. And then there are touch points throughout the program as well that I also will work one-on-one with participants. For example, if after the budgeting workshop, they find that they need more support with their budget and figuring that out, I will meet with them and I will review their personal budget and go through that. Or credit, for example, if they have credit challenges, I will sit down and discuss that with them and give them support and maybe make referrals if they need other organizational support for that. So you'll see here, this is a picture of me and one of my participants. One of the great things about Saving Circles is the connections that people make in this program. This is always a special group of people, and we have a lot of fun. Some of these participants are experiencing a graduation for the first time when they complete this program, which is it's really poignant and it's really important. The classroom is always a safe, inclusive, supportive, and accessible learning environment. I always make sure that support workers are welcome for those participants who need them present. And also one thing that I really work hard to do is to focus on participant needs during the course of the program. So just as an example, one of my participants once expressed that they had a need to be able to pace during a program due to some challenges that they had and when they get agitated. So I always made sure for that cohort that I set up the tables in such a way that this participant would be able to pace and feel able to do that and feel less anxious during the program. Another participant expressed that they felt more comfortable when furniture was set up the same way every time so that they could get used to it, and that would really help lessen their anxiety. And so that's something that I did as well to make sure that their needs were being met and that they would be able to get the most out of the program. I feel this is really important, and it really does go toward helping with the participant success within the program. So while participants are getting to know each other and we're really developing that group together and they're learning in classes, every month during the program, participants save as well. So they put this learning into action through savings. So they save in their own accounts, and every month they submit their deposit receipts. So a participant then ends up building on their savings monthly. So they really do put into action that learning that they have. So a participant saves between $5 and $50 per month, and for every dollar they save, Momentum saves $3. So participants, as part of this as well, are really encouraged to make use of saving tools such as automating their savings and scheduling savings date close to paydays. The reason is that these tools can really help lead participants to greater saving success, and it helps build confidence when they do find that success, and it really instigates that continued savings habit, which is what we're looking for, and that really helps them move toward a more sustainable livelihood. So this is a picture of one of my recent graduates named Doug. He's really an amazing example of the way participants take what they learn and apply it in personal and creative ways. It's really exciting. So you'll see here in the photo this metal jar that he's holding. So he actually recognized as he was going through the program that he had a challenge with impulse spending, as many of us do, and he created this piggy bank to help overcome that challenge. So he actually borrowed a tool and he drilled a hole through the top of this big metal jar, and he added a padlock, and then he gave the key to a friend of his who is not allowed to give it back until Doug has saved the right amount of money to purchase his asset. He brought this in to show me, and I thought it was just amazing that he took what he learned in class and really applied it in this creative way to meet the personal needs that he had in order to overcome his challenges. And he's just one of many of our participants who have been really creative and amazing in applying what they learn in class. So with the program, once they go through the program and they've graduated, at that point then we cash out. So during the program, an asset goal is identified, and we work on that throughout the program, and that gives motivation to the savings while participants are in the program. They can really visualize what they're saving for. I work with participants to help them identify what assets may bring the greatest impact to their lives. $1,200 is a whole lot of money, especially when you're living on a low income, so it's really important for our participants to get the best asset or assets to help them move forward in a more sustainable way. So you can see here on the screen some of the assets that people cash out for are education, tools for work, starting or expanding a small business, RESP or RDSP, damage deposit resiliency fund, computer, furniture, dental, vision, or health care. So within saving circles, really purchasing a computer such as a desktop, a laptop, or a tablet, and emergency savings are really the two most popular items. They really bring a lot of stability to participants, and as they go through the program, they really recognize the importance of an emergency fund, so many of our participants cash out for that. And a computer is especially important because it really helps participants with that connection, and it gives them employment opportunities, and that really can help bring them to a more financially stable place in life, which is really important. With our program, we have some great participant outcomes. Many of our participants, they increase their money management skills, they develop supportive connections, and actually 100% of our participants are confident in managing personal finances. There's actually a 93% increase for participants to grow in 2 or more asset areas, which is really exciting as this is an asset building program. And one of the really important ones, I feel, is the reduction in the level of financial stress that our participants experience. Financial stress can be really challenging and has a whole lot of implications on our lives that we don't always realize. So when we learn how to manage and save our money and we feel that confidence, it really can lower that stress and help us think through some of our financial challenges in a more clear way. And it's really exciting to see the change in participants as they go through the program and experience that reduction in stress. So this is actually one of my amazing participants with their asset. This is just an example of some of the amazing things that our participants cash out for. So with Saving Circles, we're really fortunate to have been funded long term by especially the United Way. We have actually been funded from day one for all of our IDAs by the United Way of Calgary. We are also very fortunate to have Family and Community Support Services funding. They've been supporting us for many years. This is administered through the City of Calgary, and we also have private donors. So in Saving Circles, we're very fortunate, and we're very grateful to have such established long-term funding. One exciting thing for the future with Saving Circles as well is that we're actually in partnership with Prosper Canada right now. Momentum is one of the 5 national financial empowerment champions. And as part of the project, Prosper is evaluating the Saving Circles program. And so that's been really exciting to be part of, and it will continue a little bit into the future. And I'm really quite excited to see what the outcome of that is. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna. That was really just a wonderful, just a huge amount of information, and I think probably several years worth of knowledge that you collapsed into about 20 minutes. So thank you. Thank you for giving us that wonderful tour of your program. And it's easy to see why you at Momentum were recently on the Maclean's list of top 100 charities in Canada. So congratulations on all of your great work. I wondered if I could sneak you one quick question before we turned over to the presenter. We had a couple come in. You, I think, alluded to this a little bit, but do you have numbers at all on how many of your participants continue with their savings behavior after the program is finished?
Not on me at the moment. Okay. I'm afraid, but that is something I can look into.
Do you have sort of a sense of if it's a successful behavior that people are able to adopt?
Yes. Yeah, it is something that I feel it's a behavior that people adopt. As an example, I ran into one of my previous participants a couple months ago who graduated a few years ago, and they were telling me how they have almost $2,000 in their savings account because they just kept saving every month. They'd gotten so used to it that it's just what they do now. And so that was really exciting. One thing we're actually doing at Momentum is we've implemented a new survey here that we administer to participants prior to program start, at the end of program, and then we follow up 2 years later, really with one of the main targets being to see how effective that continued savings has been. So that's something I'm looking forward to getting more conclusive information about in the future as well.
Yeah, amazing. All right, well, we'll encourage people to contact you if they have more specific questions about that, and
Perfect.
You can fit in a couple more questions about that at the end. So thank you very much. That was wonderful. I'm gonna turn things over to Monica DaPonte now, and Monica comes to us from Toronto. She's the founder of the Strive program, which is an independently operated program, which you'll hear more about in just a moment. And there's going to be some similarities between what Monica and Anna have talked about, some slight differences in the types of program interventions, but once again, this is a really neat example of program design that's accounting for more than one type of participant interaction in the same sort of seamless flow of work. So Monica, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Glenna. And thank you, Anna. That was really great work, really exciting program, the Saving Circles. So maybe I will start by providing a little bit of background on Strive. So as Glenna mentioned earlier, I'm an independent consultant, and I started kind of working independently about 4 years ago. I used to work in the not-for-profit sector, and prior to that, the business sector, and I started to feel that a lot of the environmental and social issues we had were byproducts of the system that we had designed, not intentionally, but that they were natural byproducts. And if we could get closer to the root of the system, we might be a little bit more effective at addressing them. And so I started to try to work in that space more. And my kind of focus area at that point was really in the environmental space. So I'd worked for World Wildlife Fund Canada for 7 years. And then I heard about this cool program at the BAM Center called the Alt Now Economic Inequality Program. And it was looking at creating market-based solutions to economic inequality. And that was the first time I started kind of working in the financial resiliency, financial literacy space. And it was through that program that the Strive kind of initiative came from. So it started through that program, and the research emerged from there. And so maybe I'll start with a little bit of background on today's landscape. Everybody on this webinar is working in this space, so these headlines will not be new and shocking. But when you kind of look at it from a macro perspective, they are shocking. Almost half of Canadians live paycheck to paycheck. Our secure, well-paid employment is transitioning to precarious employment. There's a growth in inequality as wealth is being generated more from capital instead of labor or incomes. There's a growth in our debt levels as we struggle to address increasing housing costs, increasing costs of education, and really keep up in a consumerism culture. So when you kind of look at this situation, I think it shows that we have a systemic issue. So there's something in the water, right? It's not just an individual problem. There's something that we're collectively struggling with that is leading to these outcomes. And I think, there's a need to try to figure out how to better help people maneuver this system and succeed. And I think when you start looking at it from that lens, I think that two kind of key pieces of work emerge. One is to enable people to better understand the system and succeed within it. And two is, in parallel, we need to figure out how to shift the system so it produces better outcomes. So as part of the research in the program, I started interviewing both individuals who are struggling financially and individuals who self-describe themselves as resilient. And so this isn't millionaires, but instead people who are comfortable, who feel confident in being able to work towards and succeed in achieving their personal goals, who feel stable, and who would not feel at risk from any normal challenges that may arise. And in interviewing those people, I found that what made them successful was a number of core life skills. So the first was having personal goals and using them as a guide to decision making. So if an individual knows that they want to go back to school or they want to transition their career and there's going to be a cost to it, their daily decisions around spending will be very different than if they don't have that goal. Ability to problem solve through individual challenges was a second enabler. And really everybody throughout life will get hit with a number of challenges, be it from the loss of employment to health issues to dissolution of a relationship. And so the enabler of success is really figuring out how to deal with those challenges in a constructive manner that enables you to keep moving and having the resiliency to deal with them. The third was understanding personal finance, how it works and how it's used by others. So not just the components, but really the macro trends and how to succeed, the tactics that individuals are using to make it work. Fourth was openness and collaboration with others. So when individuals, families, or friends or communities know that they have a goal of, let's say, saving for a down payment or saving for a computer or going back to school, then their suggestions will be different than if they don't. So they may say, let's do a potluck instead of let's go to the new restaurant or let's go to this concert. And then the fifth was a commitment to ongoing management and learning. Unfortunately, finances are not a silver bullet. It's not like you press a button and it's fixed. It's a continuous process of being able to understand what is working, what isn't, refining it, enhancing it, and building more knowledge and skills. And so I found that those were the enablers of success. And so as an independent person, I wasn't married to any existing program. So my thought process was really, how could we design something that enables people to move through the road to financial resiliency in a faster, easier fashion? And so I looked at, number one, focusing on those enablers of success, which are core life skills and aren't really taught in a proactive fashion in our structured kind of educational institutions. And then I also, and this is kind of taking from some work that I did at WWF with companies around moving towards sustainability. I started to look at what could an ecosystem be that would encourage and support action. So some of the design elements were facilitated peer-to-peer, and that came from initial interviews with individuals that expressed a lot of shame, anxiety, and hopelessness around finances. And when I initially started kind of testing in groups, I found that understanding that others were also going through the same situation was kind of an alleviation to those feelings, and it opened the door to positive, constructive action. And so that was kind of the first reason I went down a peer-to-peer structure. A guided journey, finances are so confusing. There are so many steps and options and so many challenges that having kind of a bit of a roadmap was very helpful to individuals. Weekly goals and progress check-ins in order to create a momentum, and then small prizes to encourage action. And it's very much rooted in a growth mindset and moving forward. So that was kind of the structure of the Strive program.
Monica,
yeah.
Sorry, can I just jump in for one sec? Are you able to show your screen on full screen view mode? I think right now we're seeing your presenter view.
Oh, interesting. I thought I was on full screen. Let us see how I could do that.
No problem.
Sorry for the technical difficulties. On my screen, it is showing it. Is that in?
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Oh, wait, no.
No.
It's weird because my screen was definitely showing as full screen. You know what? I'm connected to a monitor. Let me unconnect from the monitor.
Okay.
See if that helps. Oh, have you seen that lovely PowerPoint sign?
Yeah.
Okay. Apologies for the technical difficulties.
That's okay. It happens to all of us. Well, if you're not able to switch it, then we'll just do our best, and we'll make sure once again that everyone gets the slides in the end. So if there's something that's more hard to read, then people will still be able to get it later.
Okay. Do you want to move the slides for me instead, Glenna? Would that work?
Yeah, we can do that. Let me switch it back to me, and then we've got your slides on this end. So let me. Okay. All right, here we go. Sorry, everyone. Hopefully this is easier to read.
Okay, so I explained the design of the program, and then I started initially I started testing it with small groups of individuals, like 6 to 10, and then I ran a pilot at the YWCA in Toronto with women who were living in a rent geared to income building. And then through generous funding by the Dalalana School of Public Health, I collaborated with St. Michael's Hospital in Toronto and Dr. Andrew Pinto and a really great team at the hospital to put together a research pilot using that structure. And the pilot had 3 cohorts. So millennials no longer in school, adults who self-identify as precariously employed, older adults nearing retirement, and it was structured as a 10-week facilitated peer-to-peer workshop of 2 hours. So it had all the design components that I mentioned earlier, and it was over 10 weeks. We had 34 participants in total. And just to give you a sense of the structure, if you could flip slides, Glenna. Thank you. These are the week numbers and the topics that were covered. So in this particular structure, we looked at focusing on the enablers of success that I outlined earlier, so the 5 enablers of success. So we did a lot of work around knowing what you want and establishing your personal goals up front so that any kind of problem solving, capacity building was really centered on advancing those particular goals. And then we wove in elements of personal financial knowledge. Everything ranging from credit basics to budgeting to rainy day funds. So that was the content for the St. Mike's pilot. And if you could switch slides, thank you. And so we had, very positive results. At the end of the intervention, we were able to survey 27 individuals, and they reported a higher level of optimism about their financial situation than at baseline. So that was 74%. 78% reported a higher degree of control over their financial situation, and 63% reported lower levels of stress related to finances. And if you could go to the next slide. And some of the quotes from individuals, I think, really kind of spoke to the value of the program. I'll read the first one and then I'll just leave it on the screen. You're so inspired by all the other people. Like, they've done all this. Oh, I've got to make sure that I'm like with the group, not left behind. So it's just like pushes you a little bit, and at least you gain something next week. So what we found in the focus group after the program, so we had a facilitator who was, so not myself, kind of take all the participants through a focus group. And some of the insights we gathered was that the peer-to-peer really helped provide support, kind of eliminate feelings of shame and feelings of aloneness. The structured model provided kind of a guided way to keep moving. And we found that the problem solving was also quite helpful. So it enabled individuals to look at challenges they may be facing and think of ways to look at those with new angles. So one particular instance, we had a couple who in the nearing retirement group, and we'd done a problem solving exercise for one individual in the group who was struggling with housing costs. And in that problem solving exercise, we discussed certain options, including kind of house sharing. And through that, the group had recognized that they had an extra room and could rent that out. And so that led them to follow that process and begin renting them out, which gave them increased income. And so the insights we gathered were quite valuable. So following that pilot, I engaged Brenda Spartan Vasana at York University Community Finance Project. So I thought students would be a really interesting intervention point because it's early on, so it's an opportunity to build skills and set really good habits early on. But it's also a period of time where individuals are making big life decisions that have high ticket costs associated with them, right? So you're often taking on a significant amount of debt. And so I thought this program would be very valuable for that. So we ran a pilot generously funded by RBC with 2 cohorts. And this was structured a little bit differently. It had 6 weeks, and they were 3 hours instead of 10 weeks and 2 hours. It included the same approach. I've narrowed it down the titles, but it included all the tactical financial information in addition to the titles that you see here. So again, we started with goals and kind of providing context around like the macro, how finances work, the basics of money, credit, debt, and then developing personal strategies to achieve your goals. building a plan and budget that advances towards goals, and then problem solving. So we did a number of scenarios around, okay, how do you move from A to B, and what are the options? What are the pros and cons of those options? And then we ended off with building an ecosystem for success. And this was with 32 students in total. So again, we had some really great results. We saw meaningful increases in the number of students who consider themselves very knowledgeable or knowledgeable on key indicators, including keeping track of money, making ends meet, shopping around to get the best financial product, and staying informed on financial issues. 47% increase in the number of students who would cut back spending or do without if they ran out of money. A 52% increase in the number of students who strongly agree or agree that they always research their choices thoroughly before making financial decisions. And an 80% increase in students who felt that their student loan was causing them no stress or a small amount of stress. So again, some positive results there. And the next slide will show you some of the quotes from students. We again hired an external facilitator to run a focus group, so we have really good insights from the students around the value of the program. The first quote I quite like in terms of, I realize that the $60 a month I'm spending on coffee, I'm borrowing that from future me. So a recognition of the immediate decisions and the impact on the future of those decisions was a key takeaway. As well, students kind of really spoke highly of the journey and having it mapped out and connected to their own personal goals, and articulated an understanding of the value of financial health to wellness and their limited amount of stress that could be the stress that could be reduced from feeling more financially secure and in control. So we can go to the next slide. So in summary, Strive has really been developed by focusing in on what might make the road to financial resiliency easier and faster. So if you look at the bottom image, you'll see a winding road with people and a number of obstacles in the way. And really, you know, the road has a number of barriers. It's quite challenging. And many individuals are just struggling to survive, right? They're just struggling to get over that first barrier. And so to date, we've run 2 formal pilots. So the pilots we've tested with 66 individuals, and prior to these formal pilots, I interviewed and tested the approach with 65 individuals. So what I'd like to say is that I'm receiving very positive feedback and good results. Sorry, if you could keep on that slide a little bit, Glenna. Thank you. Positive feedback and really good results. But this initiative is obviously still in early phases, right? One of the things that I do believe is that it has significant potential. And I see 3 areas of opportunity. The first is I see a significant opportunity to increase the number of individuals who take action. So from my interviews, and that's that pink circle that you see there, from my interviews, I found that a common response to difficult and overwhelming financial challenges was shame, hopelessness, and a behavior of that was avoidance. And so in kind of testing this and through additional research, I found that the peer-to-peer approach seemed to reduce that shame and create a community of support, and it led to a more constructive approach to action. And so, you know, in the earlier stages where you see the number of people at the beginning of the line, a lot of those individuals are struggling with understanding how to move forward, what to do, where to go, and are in the avoidance phase. And the peer-to-peer work really seemed to provide value in opening that door and that gate to action. I also think there's a potential to increase the success rate of those individuals who do take action. And so by focusing in on the core enablers of success and those core life skills and providing real insights on how others have maneuvered the system, I think that could enhance the effectiveness of the actions that individuals can take. And then finally, I see potential for a high impact and low cost model for resiliency. So the peer-to-peer model can really reduce the total costs of capacity building. And it can be seen as an alternative to one-on-one support in a way that could be high impact and lower cost. So I think that's the potential. In terms of moving forward, next slide, I'm really excited and looking forward to finding more partners who might be interested in building and testing on further work in this area. So running for additional pilots at different intervention points or similar intervention points, and testing mechanisms to continue to enhance the impact and lower the costs, as well as individuals or organizations who might be interested in integrating these learnings into existing efforts. And with that, I would like to just say thank you. Feel free to reach out if you have any interest or questions around this work.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Monica. I really liked hearing all your different participant success stories. You had wonderful numbers, but also those quotes you shared about looking out for future me and looking out for the others who are learning alongside. I think those are really illustrative and really speaks to the value of how you've combined so many different formats of financial education into one program. It's really inspiring to see. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
We do have a few questions, and we're going to do our best to get a few in before we close off today. Monica, while we have you on the line, we have a question about do you have any stats on success rates for after they finish the program? And I guess actually I could ask this of both Monica and Anna. But Monica, do you have any knowledge of the folks after they've finished your program, or is it too early to tell?
Mm-hmm. We did just finish the pilot at York University, but there was no funding in there to do further kind of research or follow up. So we won't be able to get that. And I do have some data from the St. Mike's pilot because we did follow up after 3 months.
Okay.
And it was positive. I didn't put the exact numbers there, but I'm happy to share those.
Oh, okay, great. And Anna, I think we were trying to get at that earlier, but do you have any other thoughts to share about sort of post-program success rates?
Yeah, so a couple of program highlights that I do have with me today are things like at the end of our program, 100% of our participants are comfortable accessing services at a financial institution. This is a change for our participants from the beginning of the program. Many people do not feel comfortable reaching out to financial institutions, and so this is a really positive change that we do see in our participants, that they have that empowerment and they feel that they're able to go and access the services that they need in that area. Another highlight that I have is that 85% of our participants can get by on their monthly income. This is also a change from the beginning of the program, just really learning and implementing those money management skills and being able to format their budget so that they can set aside savings, but then also being able to meet their monthly basic needs really can change for participants throughout the course of this program, and that's exciting to see. And so then in addition as well, the one that I mentioned while I was speaking earlier, that our participants increase in 2 or more asset areas. This is really exciting, and so those asset areas can be things like financial, their connections, meeting their basic needs and things like that. And so it's really quite a wide growth area there, and it's exciting to see that.
Yeah, that's huge. Both personal finances and not being afraid to go to the bank. I mean, those are huge wins. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
We had a couple questions, one for each of you on recruitment. So maybe I'll just offer Anna first and then Monica. So for Anna, do you have any tips on recruiting participants for matched savings programs? And then after Anna, Monica, do you have any more to say about how you selected your students for the York pilot? How do you market it? So Anna, I'll hear from you first, and then Monica.
Sure. So yeah, recruitment, it's always so for our participants, we really So we really work through past participants to have them reach out to people they know to refer to the program. We work with community partner agencies to let them know that our programs are starting, and many of them refer their participants to our programming. And then we also have posters, we do Facebook ads and things like that to really reach out to participants who may not be attached to an organization, who can let them know about the program. And so in that way, we really try to cover all of our bases so that the word gets out there to let participants know about our programs. And then once they hear about us, they can come into Momentum for an information session, or we're always willing to meet with people where they are or deliver sessions on site to organizations so that they can learn about our programs and then complete an application at that time.
Great.
And from Strive's perspective, so it's a good question, Glenn, and I actually asked Anna that question when we first chatted because it was something that we struggled with. And so it's interesting. So when we ran the St. Mike's pilot, I will have to say that Madeline Bondi did an awesome job of kind of, promoting it to doctors so that they could promote it to their family health teams. We did posters and we did communications throughout the hospital at the York, and it was a lot of hard work. And I will say Strive is an initiative, right? So I'm not a formal organization, so there's also less recognition and branding of it than you would probably get. At York, it was very interesting because we had the same challenges. We had hired within the budget. We had funding to bring on a student to do kind of student engagement on campus and social media, and so we did that. And again, it was way harder than I thought. I thought it would be easier to get with the student population, and we struggled at the beginning. And then what happened is Brenda, who was a prof and the researcher on this, had emailed classes, and as soon as it went from a recognized name within the institution, I think we went from like 20 signups to 180. In like in like a week kind of thing, and then we had applications for the program. So we screened students looking for individuals who were kind of at a space where they wanted to move forward. So we were looking for signals that they had struggled and were looking to move forward. So I forgot to mention this, but Strive is not really a program for individuals who are in financial crisis or in an emergency state. It's really a program for individuals who have come up with some barriers, are stuck, don't know how to move forward, yet are committed to taking action. It can really help accelerate and increase the effectiveness of those efforts.
That's great. So once you had a known name recognition, that made all the difference.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Well, I have a couple more questions, but I might have to ask Monica and Anna if they wouldn't mind answering them offline for us to share some responses later, because I have a couple that we weren't able to get to about behavior change and other types of measurement and evaluation. So I'll see what answers we can put into some text and share with the slides. But thank you, Anna and Monica, for sharing your experiences with us, and thank you for everyone listening. We know your time is very valuable, and we really thank you for sharing this hour with us. Just a reminder, we'll be sending you an email in the next couple of days with all the materials linked within our webinars page. We'll have the recording and all slides and all materials. If at any time you'd like to find any of our old webinars that have already aired, we keep all of them online on our Learning Hub. So please go on and find whatever materials you would like. We have our webinars as well as toolkits and a library of financial empowerment resources. And one more thing, if you're thinking ahead to 2020 as this current year of 2019 closes, we'd like you to keep in mind that we will have our Field Able Conference in May 6th and 7th, 2020 in wonderful Fredericton, New Brunswick. We're excited to head to the East Coast and engage the field. 300 practitioners will be there in all different sectors of financial empowerment, and we really hope that you will join us. So please find out more at ablefinancialempowerment.org. And without further ado, I'll leave our contact information here, and Anna and Monica are also happy to answer questions directly if you'd like to know more about their programs or learn about their materials. I'm sure they'd be happy to share Please keep in touch. Our newsletter information is there. We're happy to share more with you about future events. And please tell us if there's a topic you would like us to include in a future webinar. We'd love to hear from you in our post-webinar survey. So thank you again for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful afternoon and a wonderful end of 2019.